I know that at the end of it all, that people will remember me first and foremost for what I could do on the field. And remember, people still say to me, oh, I remember that day.
George Best. If the name does not necessarily ring a bell to the youngest amongst you, the British player is undoubtedly the first European superstar of the game. His grace, his angelic face, his long hair, his charisma, his sharp repartee, and his off-field antics will have marked a whole generation. Who is he really? Why is he so fascinating? A look at the Manchester United legend, the cult George Best, one of the most iconic footballers of the 20th century. Subscribe to Megafoot, the best of football in video.
Well, I've been playing since I was very young. I came to Manchester when I was 15, when I left school.
George was born on the 22nd of May 1946 in Belfast. He was spotted at the age of 15 by Bob Bishop, a scout for the legendary Manchester United club. Bishop sent a famous telegram to the Red Devils' manager at the time, Matt Busby.
I think I have found you a genius.
Yet his style is different from the English game, which is mostly based on physical challenge. The 1.75-metre kid is rather frail but very good on the ball. Called up for a one-week trial, George convinced Busby in one morning. The success story is underway. He made his debut at Old Trafford in 1963. A left winger with the number 7 on his back, George quickly made a splash with his class and talent. The British were spellbound. The precision of his dribbling and the speed of his hooks were a nightmare for opposing defences. Alongside Bobby Charlton and Dennis Law, he established himself as one of the key attacking players in the Mancunian Armada and contributed greatly to the 1965 and 1967 English League titles. Now an icon in England, George really made his name on the European stage in a European Champion Clubs Cup quarter-final second leg in March 1966. Against Eusebio's Benfica, he put a great performance, scoring twice. In 1968, the man known as the Fifth Beatle had the best season of his career. He scored 28 league goals and was named England's best player by his peers. Even better, he took United to the European Champions Club Cup final. His extra-time goal helped an English club win the competition for the first time and cemented his status as a global star. His success continued until the end, when he won the most prestigious individual award, the Ballon d'Or, at the end of the year. George was at the top of his game. He became the first footballer to appear in the commercials and received 1,000 letters a day from fans clogging up the Red Devils' mailroom. Frenzy, money, luxury, Georgie indulges in all kinds of excesses, but this new life comes at a price. The Belfast native is away from the pitch. He abandoned training and was fined more and more for his lack of professionalism. In 1969, the departure of his mentor, Sir Matt Busby, pushed dilettantism to its extreme. George is a shadow of his former self. Nervous on the pitch, he no longer hesitates to come back on the pitch drunk. However, his genius remains real. The Mancunian was still the best attacking player at his club and finished third in the Ballon d'Or in 1971. But behind his numbers, his contribution to the club is less important. Man U was no longer winning titles, and George, who was criticised for his gambling, drinking and womanising lifestyle, no longer has the confidence of his managers and coach, who did not hesitate to add training sessions. George couldn't stand it, flew to Spain on holiday and suddenly announced that he was quitting football at only 26 years old.
So I don't want to play a lower standard than I'm used to myself. And I don't think I can play at a high standard, so I've decided to quit.
And although he will reverse his decision only 2 weeks later, the malaise is actually deeper than that. George is physically worn out and mentally exhausted. He never regained his former level and hid his distress behind a thick beard. On the 1st of January 1974, his abuse took its toll on his love affair with Manchester. He played his last game in the red shirt against Queen's Park Rangers. In total, the elusive winger scored a whopping 178 goals in 466 games. The rest of his career was much more folkloric. George was a freelancer in second-rate clubs and his career was over. In South Africa, the United States, China and Australia, the fifth Beatle took advantage of his fame to prolong the pleasure of the hectic lifestyle he loved so much. The man with 37 caps for Northern Ireland retired in 1983. This decision did not help his addiction to alcohol. In 1991, he appeared, completely drunk, in a BBC programme. A few years later, he was convicted several times for drunk driving. A life of excess that George paid for on the 25th of November 2005. At his funeral, a wreath was placed with the now legendary quote, "Maradona good, Pelé better, George best." Yes, George Best will always be remembered as one of the best players the world has ever known. It's simple. King Pelé said he was the best player he had ever seen play. Maradona considers him to be his idol. Bobby Charlton, for his part, is also very complimentary to his former teammate.
He could turn on a sixpence. He had an unbelievable vision. He could tell everything that was happening around. He knew exactly where people were. That gave him all the time that he needed to actually express himself.
George Best was a raw diamond, a raw talent who peaked far too early in his career and spent the rest of his career chasing his glorious past. However, the man who started the dynasty of famous Mancunian number 7s played with passion. Today, he is undoubtedly one of the first to have made football a true spectator sport. But beyond his footballing qualities, he is the man who made his mark and built his legend. Behind his charisma, his angelic hair, and his famous rhetoric, George is in fact the representative of a generation that will break the codes of English society and participate more greatly in a cultural revolution. George, simply the best. Is George Best's story unique in the history of football? Don't hesitate to let us know what you think in the comments. And if you liked it, tell others about Megafoot and share it. I'll see you soon for a new video. Goodbye.